Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's YT Wake 'em Up, back at it again with another video. This one right here is about credit card debt and how much people are in credit card debt right now. Did you know credit card debt is at an all-time high? People are using credit cards to pay for simple things like groceries, bills even. You got people paying rent on credit cards, mortgages. Well, how can you pay your rent and your mortgage on a credit card? You got websites like Plastic, you got FlexPay. It's all of these different services, which shows that the economy is struggling. A lot of people are 10, 20, 30, $50,000 in debt, and the number continues to climb. It keeps getting worse, and a lot of people are just pretty much spending the last of what they have to stay afloat. It's a lot of people in the same boat. Listen, if you're brand new to the channel, I need you to smash the subscribe button so you can see more of these videos pop up on your timeline. And I need everybody to thumbs up this video so that YouTube can push this content. Y'all know how we do. We're going to let people rant. We're going to comment on it. And we're going to drop our opinions on it as well. With that said, let's get into it.
I have a question. How much credit card debt are you in? Because for context, I'm 26. I've been working since 17, paying for my own shit, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt. And I will be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. I've definitely paid off medical bills and like emergency vet visits and things on my credit card, but I've also bought a lot of dumb shit. But it's like people my age have $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Do you see how my eye's twitching? That shit stresses me out. Like $55,000 is my take-home salary from my last job. Like, I think I'm just morbidly curious on like what gets you to the point of $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Also, who gave you $55,000 worth of credit in general? Like, not to mention, my credit usage, way high. Like 90 something percent. So my interest rates, 30%. Like, the interest would make me want to throw up.
I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul. And in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way, and I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job, and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around. So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. So much shame. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy. And as I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly. But money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. The one thing that I've been avoiding. And over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances, and I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. So I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt. I know so many of us are in debt right now. And I need you to remember that money is not moral. You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation. The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me. And I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it. So moving forward, okay, now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card, because I needed to hoard like a little squirrel every dollar that I had in my bank account, because it may never come back and there isn't enough. And what I'm learning through this process is why I repeated those patterns isn't because I have no willpower, I'm weak, I'm unintelligent, or any of those things, I'm unworthy. It's because my subconscious mind was running the show. I was allowing my limiting beliefs to run the show. And this could be applied to any other area of our life. So what I'm doing forward is changing my identity, changing my subconscious beliefs, rewiring my subconscious mind to believe that pleasure and abundance and prosperity are safe. Not only safe, they are my birthright, that I am capable of holding it, that I'm not only capable of holding it, that it is on its way to me right here, right now, that I am an abundant human being. I am releasing the shame around money in general, because money is not moral. We were not born into this life knowing what money is. Money is something we created. It didn't exist when humans first evolved. We created it. It is not moral. It is not moral. If you have more questions about kind of how this all transpired, more than happy to talk about it. I'm happy to start a conversation about this. Most of this debt, this 40 number, I've been carrying around for a little while. And I posted a video the other day saying breaking up with my credit cards, and I said I don't want to go down a slippery slope. And I wasn't being fully transparent, which is fair. I don't owe the internet anything. But the full transparency is I don't want to go any farther down the slope than I'm already down, right? I'm already here. And I just made this decision. Like, I had to put a vet bill on a credit card, and that topped me over the 40 number, and that was my breaking point. And I was like, something has to change. And not how can I work harder to make money to pay this off, but like, what do I need to look at within myself to prevent this from happening again? Why am I keeping myself in this cycle when I know it doesn't serve me? And I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from for me, is knowing that this wasn't what was best for me, and then I would take action anyway. And then I would avoid it. So I would avoid at all costs. Like, if I spent something with my credit card and I felt unrest in my body, avoid, suppress. When I would go to pay my credit card bills, like, just only look at the credit card statement for long enough to pay the bill, and then put it out of my mind. Suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid. Self-soothe in other ways, cope in other ways. So we're done with that. We are done with that. I no longer identify as somebody that uses a credit card. I no longer identify as somebody who operates from a place of lack, scarcity, not enoughness, unworthiness, none of that. I am no longer a person that operates from a place of shame. This is my last buried treasure. And if you know my face by now, I might be new to some of you, but if you know my face by now, you know I've shared a lot with you guys on the internet. And I know that it might feel wildly inappropriate to some of you, but I so firmly know in my body, in my soul, that I came here on this planet to share my journey with you. It might not resonate for all of you. And that's okay, because the ones that are supposed to receive this message and who are feeling overwhelmed by their financial situation, I know that you're going to see this. And I'm here to tell you, it's not about continuously working harder. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs. It's about looking what's going on within you. What are your beliefs around money? What are your behavior patterns around money? What is your emotional response when you think about your financial situation? What's going on in that subconscious mind, and how can we make a change? We don't get to choose our childhoods. We don't get to choose the beliefs that form about ourselves in childhood. But when we are adults, there's self-responsibility, and it is up to us to create the change that we desire. So let's do it. Let's do it together. I have been doing a crash course this month of just deep self-concept work. Deep like rewiring my brain, self-concept, subconscious, like nervous system work. And I know without a doubt that by the end of this year, that debt will be paid. I release any worry or fear or stress about it at all. I know that I'm taken care of. I am full surrender, giving this to God, because I know that this is my path. I know that this is here to teach me something. I know I had to go down this journey to learn what I needed to learn, to get the medicine that I need to continue to step forth into this person that I came here to be. So I don't feel shame, and I don't want you to feel shame either. So if sharing my story helps one person, then it's worth it for me. Debt is not moral. You aren't unworthy. And you can change your financial picture truly at any point in time if you're willing to go inward, if you're willing to dive deep. So happy Friday, beautiful souls. 40. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. And I'm saying that publicly, so we're going to celebrate.
All right, now this lady right here, I just feel like she bad with finances overall. Somebody didn't teach her the ropes. She need to go back to the basics, go back to the drawing board. I mean, it's too late. It's too late for that, honestly. But somebody should have taught her the ropes. They should have taught her financial literacy. Like I keep saying, this is a problem within the education system. The only person we can blame is the people that educated us, right? That's why we have to unlearn to relearn. They don't teach you about finances for a specific reason, right? These companies thrive off of people that don't know what they're doing when it comes to finances, when it comes to credit. They get this credit. For instance, these lenders will extend these lines of credit to these people, and they're going to make way more off of interest off of these people because they know they'll never pay the debt back off in full entirely, right? Say, for instance, you get a 0% interest credit card for 12 months and you pay that debt off. They're not getting any interest off of you. But most of these people are paying thousands of dollars in interest. They're paying so much in interest that little is going towards the principal. It's more going towards the interest first, actually. They're going to stay trapped in that cycle.
Hey y'all, so let's talk debt, specifically credit card debt. I am $30,000 in credit card debt. Yeah, I know. Let's talk about it. So I have two credit cards. I have a Navy Federal and then another credit card. Navy Federal has $25,000 and the other one has $5,000. And I'm definitely ready to pay those off. So if anybody has any suggestions about how I can quickly pay those off, let me know in the comments. So I recently joined TikTok Shop and the Creator Fund. So I'm hoping to reel in some money from that as well. And whatever I make from that, I'm going to put towards the credit cards expeditiously. I racked up all of this debt from shopping, not telling myself no, not having discipline, all that horrible stuff. Baby, when I tell you, if I saw something on the website, because I'm an online shopper. If I saw something on the website that I wanted, or my kids wanted, or that I wanted for them, or what I thought my husband would like. But we're stopping bad habits, and we're getting out of credit card debt. So follow along on this journey with me paying off my debt.
So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt. Okay. Part of the problem. You are. Let me explain how we got here. In June of 2022, we had a good amount of savings and decided that our home that we've been living in for a couple years just needed some maintenance and some upgrades. You can see behind me, we live in like a very normal house, but there were some things like on the outside where our stucco was falling off, so we needed to have that repaired. We had our house painted, we upgraded our bathroom a little bit. And also decided to pay off my husband's private student loan because the interest is not great. And so we had plenty of savings and we decided to just drain those bad boys. We both had really stable jobs. we would be able to squirrel away some money over time and build back up our savings again. 2 weeks later, unexpectedly, I was laid off from my job. And I'm the breadwinner of our household, so it did not go well. I was unemployed for about 7 months. Thank goodness I had social media to keep us afloat for a little bit, but here's the deal. We had to put a lot of stuff on credit card to be able to keep ourselves afloat. So anything that could go on a credit card went on a credit card. And that allowed my husband's income to pay for our mortgage, our car payments, our daycare, things like that. But everything else went on a credit card. We cut back as much as we could, but there's still a lot of expenses. We finally decided to do a debt consolidation loan, and it's about $65,000. And we're gonna try and pay it off. We did a 5-year loan plan, but we're gonna try and pay it off in the next 2 years if I can finally get that OnlyFans account going. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do OnlyFans, but that's our goal. If our kids gets out of daycare this year, we've spent $36,000 a year on daycare. So one of them graduates this year. The other one goes to VPK. So that'll save us a little bit of money. Our hopes are that we're able to put a lot of what we were already paying for daycare towards this loan and get it paid off sooner than planned. But your girl loves to shop, so I'm gonna have to do some shit to keep myself accountable to this. So I'm coming on the internet and telling you what my deepest, darkest secret. Where are you going? Oh. Bye. Buying a puppy when you're in $60,000 of credit card debt is not a good idea. I'm just saying that.
Fun fact, I was indoctrinated with this since a kid, right? When I was a kid, I remember my parents told me, no, you can't get that, right? It was something that I wanted. I forgot what it was, but they said no. I'm like, I mean, you got the money for it. They basically no, we don't. I'm like, all you got to do is put it on that card. I just saw them buy everything that they wanted with a credit card. So all I knew at this time was if you swipe this card, you can pay on it later. I was a real smart kid, right? I basically knew how it worked. You swipe the card, you'll get it now and you'll pay on it later. So I'm like, you could get this for me, right? So this is the problem right here. People can swipe now and pay later, and they're getting things that they truly cannot afford. They're living beyond their means. They have no discipline. And for instance, it's easier because it's just numbers on the screen. It's not actually like you counting out the money. When you have that physical money in your hand and you have to count it out, it's like, dang, I just paid $300 for this. It kind of hits you differently than you just swiping the card real quick. It take like 10 seconds, like whatever. Okay, cool. 300, swipe, I'm out of here. Go to another store, swipe, I'm out of here. So it's like it takes away that physical feeling that you having to pay. It's almost like it tricks your mind to where you lose track of how much you're spending. And it's showing in reality, it's showing in society.
I am the girl that's going viral on TikTok for having $36,000 in credit card debt. That is me. She is I am her. 1 year ago, I had $17,000 in credit card debt. And since then, on those 2 cards, I've gotten it down to about $5,000, $6,000. Over this past year, I've paid almost over $3,000 in interest fees. Like, really take all of your progress and just stomp on it. If you're like Brittany and me, then I hope you're listening to her story and listening to my story. For me, my $17,000 largely came from medical debt that I decided to put on my credit card. Don't do that, because if you can't pay it off and it becomes medical debt, I can tell you right now, you're not going to be able to pay it off when it's a credit card debt. It's just going to end up accruing more interest and you're going to owe more at the end of the day, which is how I ended up paying an additional $3,000 to stay alive. Seemed like a really good idea then, huh? But it wasn't. You know what my dream job is? My dream job is to be a creative director, photographer, decide concepts. I want to pick wardrobe. I want to pick costume. I want to make makeup sets. I want to be the model sometimes. I want to just be an artist, and I don't want to have credit card debts. I control your finances, follow your dreams.
I used my credit cards to fill a void in my heart, and now I have $14,000 worth of credit cards to pay off. It wasn't until this year, 2024, that I decided that I was going to try to pay off these credit cards, be done with them, and I was going to take this debt payoff journey seriously. Up until this year, I was hoping a rich man would come rescue me. I am aware of how dumb that sounds, but I'm trying to be completely honest and transparent with you guys. Even though my credit cards created a shroud of shame around me, and I didn't want to date and I didn't want to gain friends, I yet still went on dating apps to go on dates in hopes of meeting a rich man that would fall in love with me madly and did not care about my credit card debt and would just take it on and he wouldn't care. And that sounds incredibly dumb to say out loud, but it's the truth. And now I am going to take my debt journey seriously. I cannot rely on somebody else to help me or help me get out of this in any capacity. I need to do the work, not only because it's my responsibility to do the work, it'll be so much more rewarding and it will teach me a tough lesson once I am out of this.
How I got myself $23,000 into credit card debt. I started dating a guy when I was around 12 or 13, and I dated him throughout middle school, high school, and into my early 20s. I'm not going to get into the super juicy details of this relationship, but just know that it was mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. And I am so grateful to be out of that relationship now. But I did make some bad financial decisions whenever I broke that relationship off 3 years ago. When I was in that relationship, I was controlled a lot and I wasn't able to hang out with my friends. I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't really able to do anything. And that kind of led into my spending problem whenever I left that relationship. So I broke it off. I started doing solo trips out the wazoo. I was doing solo trip after solo trip, and guess what? I didn't have any money. I was working as a teller in a bank. I still work in a bank, but I've since moved up positions. But I was working as a teller, so I wasn't making much. And so in turn, I was putting it all on my credit cards because I wanted to have these experiences that I felt like I had lost out on. Does that make sense? I pretty much did the same thing over and over and over and over again. I went on so many trips. I fell in love with national parks and hiking. And eventually I found myself $23,000 into credit card debt. And now I'm on a mission to pay that off as quickly as I possibly can. I know what it feels like to feel like you're drowning in your credit card debt, your minimum payments. And a lot of the times if you have high credit card debt like I do, the interest rates are just eating up any monthly payments that you make. It sucks that I put myself in that situation, and if you're in that situation, all you can do is get yourself out. And if you only have one stream of income, like your full-time job, I highly recommend getting a second stream of income, which is what I did. The digital marketing is what I did for my second stream of income, and I am so happy I did.
I get asked literally all the time how the hell I was able to accumulate $50,000 of credit card debt in like a 6-year span. And let me be the first to say, preface this by, I know I did not make the wisest decisions back then. 18-year-old me, 22-year-old me running around with a credit card. I get it. I know I don't need the hate, but okay, so I was very naive. I'll do this in a couple part series, so it's not like a freaking TED talk over here. But I was very naive with the fact of, I know I was going to be making more money, right? I was 18 years old, got my first job as a dental assistant, making $28,000 a year. But I was obviously spending way above my means. So when I got into $50,000 of debt, this was not over a 1-2 year span. No, it started off small. My very first credit card, the limit was only $250, right? And then as you start using it, they start to give you more credit. And then as you start to get more credit, you're like, oh, this is cool. Let me get another card. Oh, this one's got a cash back card. Let me get another card. And the next thing I knew, I had 4 credit cards. I had a Victoria's Secret card. I had an Amazon card. I had all these cards, okay? And I kept telling myself, I know I'm going to be making more money. I know I'm going to be making $100,000 a year. When I make more money, I'm going to pay these off. When I make more money, I'm already going to live my life the way as if I was already making that kind of money, because I just knew it was inevitable for me. But what I did not realize is the more money I started to make, it didn't matter. That is when the big amounts of debt came in. I didn't have 50 grand of debt when I was 19, making $28,000 a year. No, when I started making over $100,000 a year was when it started to pile on so freaking fast. And again, it's because, looking back now, I know these were not the best choices, but I'm just telling you my story because it is what it is. And I hope somebody out there, well, I don't hope you can relate, but I hope it makes it relatable so you know that you're not alone, because sadly, most Americans, or most people in general, are in some form of credit card debt. Could be only a couple $1,000s, could be $50,000 like I was. But it wasn't like these big purchases that put me over the edge, right? It was a little bit here, a little bit there. And I was only making my minimum payments for years. Again, I just kept telling myself, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make more money. When I make more money, I'm going to pay this all down and it's not even going to matter. I'm going to laugh at this one day and be like, oh my gosh, thank God I was living my life because I made more money to pay it all off, right? And like I said, that did not happen. When I did start to make more money, $60,000, $100,000, the bad money habits, the unhealthy money habits, my lack of having any kind of like budget, knowing my expenses, living within my means was still out the window. I was just making more money and buying nicer shit, right? Instead of going to Starbucks, I was still going to like my Starbucks every day. Not that that's bad. If that is what you love, like if you know me, you know I'm a firm believer in buying things that truly make you happy. I call it like spending in alignment with your goals, aligned spending. But I was not doing that. I was buying things because I wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to fit in with a certain crowd. I wanted to like, in a sense, like, oh, look at me. I'm 22, 23, making $100,000 a year. Let me look like it. Let me make sure I fit the bill. We're going to wrap this up and I'll do a second part. But let me just say there is like a point to this story. The debt is gone. Like, there is a happy ending to this.
Listen here, y'all. So did you know credit card delinquency rates have hit a nearly 12-year high? So people can't afford to even pay the bills no more. They got so much debt and they just got to be like, hey, I can't pay no more. Just wipe their hands with it, right? Consumers are increasingly holding off on applying for new mortgages and credit cards, right? So people can't get houses. So that means the inventory is adding up, right? Remember when it was a scarcity, there was no supply. There was no supply, literally. No houses on the market. If so, they were getting sold up quick and people were overbidding. Now inventory is building up a little more. Houses are selling a little less than before because people have so much debt. Their debt to income ratio is it's crazy. It's outrageous. So people got to kind of take a step back, right? Right. So people are struggling to pay off their credit card debt and delinquencies are at a 12-year high. Did you know the average credit card user has about $7,000 to $10,000 in credit card debt right now, if not higher? And then American debt has hit a record 1.3 trillion with a T. Credit card debt increased by 50 billion in the fourth quarter of 2023. That's just the fourth quarter of 2023 that it increased by 50 billion. This is getting out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. It is out of hand, right? We in the trillions with a T. People can't afford nothing as a whole. Prices are getting higher and higher as a whole, so people have to put it on their credit cards. And now they just got to wipe their hands with it and just let the debt collectors deal with it. But did you know, if you are in this position, it's not the end of the day. It's not the worst situation that you could ever be in, thankfully, due to the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act, which governs you as a consumer or borrower of credit, right? Someone that utilizes credit, you have laws that govern you. And did you know it's actually illegal for bureaus to put anything on your credit report that's unverifiable or inaccurate, right? And if you do find anything on your credit report, they have 30 to 45 days to remove it following your dispute. And 70% of credit reports actually have inaccuracies on them. It could be the date, the reporting date. It could be the balance. Even if it's wrong by 1 cent on any of the three bureaus, that deems it necessary for removal. Or if you did not sign off on this debt. Also, if they sell your information to a third party, like a credit card collection company, that's actually a violation of your rights if they don't notify you of the updated amount that you owe, which they never do, right? When they sell your information, they sell it to these people that will harass you over the phone. You could actually send in a cease and desist letter and they could stop that too. So there's plenty of laws that govern you. Credit repair is what you should do instead of doing bankruptcy. I know a lot of people talk about bankruptcy, but actually you could use credit disputes to dispute a bankruptcy off of your credit profile. That way you don't have to wait out the time and the duration of that bankruptcy, and it doesn't mess up your good credit profile. It's actually worse for you to start paying on debt instead of disputing it because it stays on your credit report for 7 years. So say for instance, you have a late payment and then you start paying on it again. That duration starts over for another 7 years. So it's better to actually just dispute it off, which it might take 6 months. Just take that 6 months, dispute everything off, get a new, clean, fresh slate, and start over, and then go on your rebuilding process, rebuilding journey, build your credit profile back up stronger, build your credit mix back up, get some high season, high limit trade lines on your credit profile, and you back in the game, right? And also, did you know the average millionaire goes broke 3 times on average, which means they get into all of this debt, they repair their credit, and start back over. You know, millionaires use good debt. The average American uses bad debt. That's just some game I want to give y'all. If y'all interested in credit repair, y'all feel free to email me. I actually have a credit repair company. We use AI and Metro to compliance to get these things disputed off of your credit profile in a timely manner. With that said, though, it's YT Wake 'em Up. I appreciate y'all watching, man. If y'all got any credit card debt, y'all don't got to drop it in the comments, but if y'all want to, y'all can. I just want to know, how do y'all feel about this topic, man? Do y'all have more credit card debt than usual? Has this economy caused you to, mess your credit up when it once was good before? We like to be transparent on this channel. It's a free space. And a lot of people actually like to see these comments so that they can know they're not alone. So I appreciate y'all. Drop it in the comments below.